Hello students. So in this part of GOC, now we are starting the next topic, which is again very important part, that is electron displacement effects. So in the electron displacement effect, we will discuss how the electrons are moving in a particular given species, in which direction they are moving, and on the basis of these effects we will be able to solve number of questions. This part of GOC is again very important part, and number of questions are asked on the basis of this part, and it is also a part which will have very important application in whole of the organic chemistry mechanism. So it is very important part of the chapter, and you should learn this part very seriously. So there are four types of electron displacement effects which we have to study, which we have to discuss, and they are namely inductive effect, which we call as I effect in short. Second one is mesomeric effect. It is also called as resonance effect. In short, we call it M effect or R effect, the short form of mesomeric and resonance effect. Third one is hyperconjugation. There are another name of hyperconjugation. We can call it no bond resonance. No bond resonance, and one more name is given to this effect is Baker-Nathan effect. Baker-Nathan effect on the basis of, in the honor of scientist, Baker-Nathan effect. And the last effect is electromeric effect, which is in short called as E effect. So these are the four electron displacement effects which we have to study one by one, and they all are very important to understand. Their direct question part is there, and most important is their application part is there. In the whole organic chemistry, the reaction mechanism part, we will be applying these effects in order to answer number of questions. So first of all, we are going to start with the inductive effect. So inductive effect is also called as I effect. We can call it I effect also in short. So in the inductive effect, we say that we may explain this effect in the manner, we can say that in the organic compounds, we can say the organic compounds are derivative of hydrocarbons, mainly alkanes, and in the alkanes, if we write the general formula of alkanes, we know that the alkanes are non-polar organic compounds. There is no polarity in the case of alkanes. And if we replace, and the cause of non-polarity is very obvious. First thing is carbon-hydrogen electronegativity is almost same. Secondly, they all are tetrahedral in shape, so net resultant is 0. So it makes them non-polar organic compounds. In order to make some other organic family, in general, we will be replacing the hydrogen of alkene from some other group, which will create the functional group in the compound, and that group which we will introduce in place of hydrogen, the atom or any group which will be introduced in place of hydrogen, will be in most of the cases is more electronegative in comparison to carbon. Now remember, in most of the organic compounds which we study in whole of the organic chemistry, we come to know that carbon is essential for an organic compound. Without carbon we cannot have an organic compound, we all know. Apart from carbon, we can see the presence of hydrogen also in almost all the organic compounds. There may be very few examples which you can quote as an organic compound in which hydrogen is not present. You may write 10 examples for such cases where hydrogen is not present, then I am sure you will be taking very long time to recall such organic compounds where hydrogen is not present. So there are very few where hydrogen is not present. So almost all the organic compounds contain hydrogen. Then after carbon and hydrogen, we come to know that in organic compound there is oxygen atom present, or nitrogen atom is present, or halogens are present. In some organic compounds we can see the presence of sulfur atom also, although sulfur containing compounds are not in our scope directly. In our scope, the organic compounds which we will be discussing will be containing halogens or nitrogen or oxygen atoms mainly. So in the IUPAC part, you have done the functional groups, various functional groups which are present, and if you can remember the formula of all those functional groups, you will come to know either they are oxygen containing compounds or nitrogen containing compounds or halogens containing compound, and in some cases it was sulfur also. So these are the main elements which constitute almost all the organic compounds. I am not saying that all the organic compounds. In some organic compounds we can see presence of phosphorus. In the salts we can see the presence of metal. Those are very few cases. But in most of the cases we can see that organic compounds are made up of these elements only. And you can see that these four elements, oxygen, nitrogen, halogens and sulfur, they are highly electronegative elements in comparison to carbon. So they all are highly electronegative elements. In the GOC part, the application of electronegativity is very important. Without applying the concept of electronegativity, we cannot answer number of questions. In the periodic properties part, we have done the electronegativity, and as a property, periodic property, we were very happy that it is very simple periodic property because there was no exception. It is simple periodic trend which is followed. But as an application part, in the organic chemistry especially, we will apply it to maximum cases. So I am just recalling the electronegativity before discussing this inductive effect. So first of all, I am recalling its periodic trend. So when we are moving across the period, we come to know it was increasing, and on moving down in the group from top to bottom, it was decreasing. Okay, na? So this was simple periodic trend for us. For the electronegativity across the period, it increases, down the group it decreases. First thing. Secondly, which is very important part for us, for the same atom, for the different atoms, this is the periodic trend. But for the same atom, the electronegativity varies from one compound to another compound depending upon its condition. This is very important part of the electronegativity property. And there are two factors mainly which will change the value of electronegativity or effect of electronegativity. The first condition is nature and magnitude of charge. Nature and magnitude of charge. If the given species is present in different type of charges in different cases, then its electronegativity will be different. And if the nature of charge is same but its magnitude is varying, then again its electronegativity will be different. Now we should make it more clear. On the basis of charge, we may have two conditions, positive charge or negative charge. So if the given species is positively charged in a particular case, and in another case it is negatively charged, then in both the cases its electronegativity will not be same. First thing. And if it is positively charged, then in that case electronegativity will be higher in comparison to the case when it is present with the negative charge. And it is very simple for us to explain. Since it is positively charged, it will apply more force of attraction. If it is negatively charged, it will apply less force of attraction. So electronegativity is the tendency to attract the shear pair of electron towards itself. So if any species is positively charged, it will be applying more force of attraction. If it is negatively charged, it will be applying less force of attraction. So depending upon nature of charge, electronegativity will vary. So what we can say, if any atom is present as A, if it is present as A plus, and if it is present as A minus, then in these three cases its electronegativity will not be same, and we can say that A plus will be most electronegative and A minus will be least electronegative state of this particular species. I hope it is clear to all of us. So that was the nature of charge. So positively charged will make it more electronegative, negative charge will make it less electronegative. That is one thing. Secondly is its magnitude of charge. Magnitude of charge means if it is present with the positive charge, but in one case it is +1, it is +2, +3, +4, like that we can say, then in all those cases the electronegativity will not be same, although the nature of charge will be same, but its magnitude of electronegativity will not be same. So as the positive charge will increase, electronegativity will also increase. Opposite will be with the negative charge. With the increase in negative charge, electronegativity will decrease. So if any given species is becoming more and more negatively charged, then its electronegativity will decrease. It will becoming less electronegative. And if it is getting more and more positive charge on it, then it is becoming more electronegative. So that is how the nature and magnitude of charge affects the electronegativity. I hope this point is clear to all of you. Second thing is its hybridization. Hybridization state. Now, in the case of organic compounds, the hybridization of carbon, we are more interested in carbon. For the hybridization of carbon, there are three possibilities. It may be sp, sp2 or sp3 hybridized. There are three possibilities of hybridization with respect to carbon. So, sp, sp2 and sp3 hybridized carbon atom may be there. So if the carbon is present in these three hybridized state, or if it is, it can be applicable to any atom, not only carbon. I am taking example of carbon, but it is applicable to all, not carbon only. So if any given atom is present in different hybridization states, then its electronegativity will also be different. It will not be same. Although there is no charge, it is neutral, but if it is present in different hybridization state, then its electronegativity will not be same. And we come to know that sp hybridized state is most electronegative and sp3 hybridized state is least electronegative state for a given atom. And it is simply because in the sp hybridization the S character is 50%, in sp2 it is 33%, and in sp3 it is 25%. We all know. Okay, na? So we can say that in the sp hybridization percentage S character is 50, which is maximum, and in sp3 it is 25, which is minimum. So with increase in percentage S character, electronegativity increases, and this we can explain, and we have explained in the periodic property section also, that if we are increasing the percentage of S character, means the electrons residing close to the nucleus are higher in percentage, so nuclear force of attraction will be more on such electrons which are closer to the nucleus, hence the electronegativity will be higher. So that is why if we are having different hybridizations, then electronegativity of the same atom will be different, it will not be same. So depending upon hybridization and depending upon nature and magnitude of charge, the electronegativity of a particular atom will change. Apart from this periodic trend, so this periodic trend will be having the electronegativity of different atoms. We can compare the electronegativity of different atoms with the help of this periodic trend, and for a particular atom the electronegativity will be different depending upon these two factors. I hope it is clear to all of you, and it is very important, and we have a lot of application of this concept in many questions. Okay.